All right, we're talking about the pigment of aging, lipofuscin. Most apparent as brown spots on the face or the hands. Lipofuscin is really problematic. It's cosmetically unappealing when you have it on your body. Most folks want to get rid of it. Can't really get rid of it topically. You can get rid of it by using nutritional supplements, which we'll tell you a few really good nutritional supplements here in a minute. But lipofuscin is really problematic when it builds up in the brain and in the nerves and in the heart. It's also associated with macular degeneration and eye problems. Yesterday we talked about vitamin E as a major anti-lipofuscin nutrient. Vitamin E is important for just general anti-aging. It's got sun protective benefits. Vitamin E is also a very important supplement to use pre and post-surgery. It's a healing vitamin. It's a guardian vitamin. It's a protection vitamin. And it is a major player in helping clear out lipofuscin and lowering lipofuscin levels, especially in the deluxe form, the tocotrienol form. That's the deluxe form of vitamin E. Then there's DMAE, which is well known as a focus nutrient. Most formulas for brain health and concentration and attention will contain some DMAE, Longevity's ageless product, which is marketed as a carnosine product. Carnosine is another really interesting nutrient that we don't talk a lot about. We will probably get to talking about carnosine here when we talk about anti-aging nutrients here in probably somewhere in the next few weeks. Carnosine, ageless is a carnosine product. It's marketed as a carnosine. And by the way, that's carnosine, not carnitine. They sound similar. There's a lot of confusion around those two terms. Carnosine is an anti-aging, anti-sugaring supplement. Ageless from Longevity has some carnosine in it, but it also has some DMAE. DMAE is a super powerful anti-lipofuscin substance, maybe the most important way to lower lipofuscin using DMAE. But DMAE is much more than that. DMAE, as we were talking about yesterday, is turned into one of the most important chemicals in the body, the brain and nerve cell hormone acetylcholine. Now, when I say acetylcholine is important, I am talking mega important. It's a nerve hormone. That means basically that it activates nerve cells. Nerve cells eventually are going to connect to various systems in the body, muscles and glands and organs and such, and that's how they cause their various effects in the body. Activated nerve cells can stimulate responses, they can inhibit responses. If a nerve cell, for example, that's connected to stomach cells is stimulated, digestive juices may begin to flow. If a nerve cell is connected to an area of the brain that makes us feel happy, when that nerve cell is stimulated, we're going to feel joy. We'll experience joy. Or if a nerve cell is connected to the bladder, when that nerve cell is stimulated, we may feel the urge to urinate. And conversely, if there's a breakdown in any of these nerve cells, we may experience digestive difficulties or emotional problems, depression, or perhaps incontinence, depending on where the nerve cell that's breaking down is connected to. The point is that activation of the nerve cells, it's activation of the nerve cells that stimulates or inhibits the body's responses and functions and activities. And that makes nerve cell activation pretty darn important. And it makes the chemicals that turn on these nerve cells that are going to initiate firing, likewise, very important. The body's an electrical system, and that electrical energy is channeled through nerves, which can be thought of as a biological wiring. But whether that nerve cell fires or doesn't fire is dependent on chemicals, very special and unique chemicals. These are chemicals that can be made inside nerve cells, and they exert their effects by plugging into sockets that sit on nerve cells. They're made inside a nerve cell. They're secreted out of a nerve cell. And then they sit inside sockets on another nerve cell and cause that nerve cell to fire. They, in essence, ring a doorbell on a nerve cell, initiating and activating electrical energy in the cells of the nervous system. And then, depending on which nerve cells are triggered, whether it's a nerve cell that's connected to the digestive system or the muscles or the brain or the bladder or any other part of the body, a specific kind of effect is going to be generated. There's many of these kinds of nerve chemical substances. We've talked about these substances. Many of you are familiar with their names. Serotonin is a classic neurotransmitter, nerve cell chemical that activates nerves, especially in the digestive system and in the alertness area of the brain. Dopamine is another type of nerve cell chemical that activates the reward center in the brain. Cocaine and sugar both activate nerves that usually respond to dopamine. And that means that we're basically hardwired to respond to cocaine and to sugar because they both have this dopamine-like effect that results in them turning on nerves that activate the reward center. The reward center makes us feel good. That's what the reward center is about. It's about making us feel like we got rewarded. And who doesn't want to be rewarded? It's a really pleasurable feeling. They call it the reward center because you feel like you just got a prize. It's called the reward center because you feel like you just won the lottery. And that's all in response to dopamine activating nerves that are connected to this happy reward center in the brain. That's a problem because it's one of the major biochemical causes of addiction. Cocaine addiction, sugar addiction, even gambling and thrill-seeking behaviors also involve stimulating dopamine and this reward center in the brain. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. 855-660-4261 is our call-in number. We'll be back right after this. Okay, so we're talking about nerve chemicals, chemicals that turn on nerve cells. There's lots of different ones. Dopamine is a classic one. That's one that's associated with reward behavior. Drugs like sugar and cocaine. Sugar is a drug technically because it does activate these kinds of nerve chemicals or nerves in the brain. Sugar and cocaine activate dopamine neurotransmitters, or dopamine nerves, I should say. And this accounts for the addictive qualities, gambling behavior, thrill-seeking behavior, bungee jumping. These all involve stimulating dopamine. There's another important nerve chemical called endorphin. Endorphins make us feel blissful and dreamy. The term orph, O-R-P-H, comes from the name of the Greek god of dreams, Morpheus. Heroin and morphine and opium products, sometimes pain pills, can mimic these endorphins and again have an addictive quality because they're similar to nerve chemicals. Morphine and opium and heroin, and even cough syrup, dextromethorphan, which is an active ingredient in cough suppressants. They can all activate these kinds of dreamy nerves, these endorphin nerves that usually respond to brain chemicals, natural brain chemicals that make us feel pain-free and peaceful. One of the most interesting and fascinating of these nerve cell activating chemicals are called cannabinoids. Cannabinoids are made in nerve cells in the brain and also by a certain plant that has gained notoriety and caused a lot of consternation over the last 80 or 90 years. These days, this plant called cannabis, which many people know as marijuana, and the cannabinoids that the plant make, which are essentially the same as these nerve chemicals that are made in our brain, these cannabinoids. These days, cannabis and cannabinoids are gaining some credibility because, as it turns out, they're very helpful as analgesics, pain relievers, and as calming molecules. Cannabinoids have an inhibitory effect on nerve cells that are involved in pain, and they can work on stabilizing out-of-control electrical energy that's associated with seizures, epilepsy, and such. Amino acids can also work like these nerve chemicals. They're said to be neuroactive. Amino acids, not all amino acids, but some amino acids can be neuroactive. They can activate nerve cells. There's one called glycine, which is really interesting. Glycine is a component of collagen. Glycine can help soothe and heal your digestive tract. Glycine's got anti-aging properties, and glycine's got a calming effect on the brain. Glycine can be used as anti-seizure medicine or an anti-seizure amino acid. Glycine can help you sleep, all because glycine has this nerve acting property or nerve activating property that kind of calms nerves down. It's said to be an inhibitory neurotransmitter or neurotransmitter-like substance. GABA, many of you have heard of GABA, that acts the same way. Glutamate and aspartate can also ring a nerve cell's doorbell. Glutamate and aspartate or amino acids, and they're similar to excitotoxins like MSG and aspartame. Again, these excitotoxins work by mimicking nerve chemicals. There's neuroactive chemicals that can help us or make us feel pain. There's others that can activate nerves that stimulate digestive secretions, and there's still others that can stimulate feelings of love and bonding and compassion. Even insulin has a neuroactive effect in addition to acting like a more traditional non-nerve cell activating hormone. As many neurotransmitters as there are, and there are lots and lots of these substances, as many as there are, it's hard to believe we didn't even know they existed until 100 years ago. And as recently as 1986, that's when I graduated pharmacy school, they used to tell us, oh, there's only about 6 or 7 of these substances. The first neurotransmitters were discovered at the turn of the 20th century. Before then, there was this big battle between neurologists and biochemists. At the time, neurologists represented the common wisdom that everything in the body was electrical. And then biochemists came along, and we were just starting to understand the chemistry of the body. This was really a revolutionary time period, the beginning of a revolutionary scientific time period, the beginning of the 20th century, maybe 1900 to 1930 or so, was a real revolutionary period in terms of science and chemistry and biology. Vitamins were being discovered around this time. Steroid hormones were discovered around this time. In any case, biochemists hypothesized that nerve cells were actually secreting chemicals to exert their effects. Neurologists said they were crazy. It was all electrical. This was called the War of the Sparks and the Soups. There's actually a book called The War of the Sparks and the Soups, and the War of the Sparks, or the folks who said it was all sparks, they were the neurologists, and the folks who said it was about the soups, they were the biochemists. And sure enough, the upstart radical chemists were right, and right around 1920 or so, the first biochemical secretion from a nerve cell was discovered, and that was acetylcholine. Acetylcholine, the substance that is derived from DMAE. Acetylcholine is a relaxing substance. It's said to be inhibitory. That makes it a key player in the relaxation component of nerve firing. The nervous system works by balancing surges of electrical energy with cessation of electrical energy, and you get this on-off pulsing effect. And adrenaline has a stimulating effect. It's an excitatory chemical. Acetylcholine opposes adrenaline, and it's responsible for the calming effect that's associated with nerve cell firing. So nerve cells will fire. They'll either cause something to be inhibited or they'll cause something to be stimulated. Acetylcholine will cause substances or cause activities to be inhibited. It's a relaxing kind of substance. And adrenaline, on the other hand, will cause nerve cells to activate various parts of the body. Acetylcholine, that's kind of a simplistic way of looking at it, by the way, but generally speaking, that's the way it works. Nerve cells will fire, and if it's an acetylcholine kind of effect, it'll be relaxing. It'll relax muscles. If it's an adrenaline kind of effect, it'll stimulate things. It'll initiate contraction of muscles, as an example. Acetylcholine is really important in muscular movement, and many movement disorders and palsies and tics and kind of Parkinson's-like symptoms are connected to defects in acetylcholine chemistry. Myasthenia gravis is your classic acetylcholine-related diseases, and the medications that are used to treat these kind of diseases are medications that will raise acetylcholine levels by blocking the breakdown of it, by blocking enzymes that break it down. Parkinson's disease is has a major acetylcholine component. Some researchers believe that Tourette syndrome may also have a relationship to acetylcholine processing. Nerve gas and pesticides both work by amping up acetylcholine's relaxing effects. World War I was the nerve gas war, and that was right around the time when acetylcholine was discovered, sort of right around that time when we started to realize that there were these chemicals that could affect nerves, and of course the military got involved, and that's when nerve gas was invented. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Got lots more good health information coming at you right after this. Don't go away. From NutraIngredients.com, vitamin E, Tocotrienols show brain health benefits. Daily supplements of a natural full-spectrum tocotrienol complex may protect against the progression of lesions in human brains. That's a new study from Malaysia and the UK. I'm telling you, folks, you couldn't pick a more important brain health supplement than vitamin E, and this stuff is not found in a lot of foods, and it's so important when it comes to anti-aging, anti-cancer healing, post-surgical healing, skin health, sun protection. It's not found in foods, and you got to supplement. This is just a classic example of a supplement or of a nutrient that you absolutely must supplement with. Vitamin E in either its tocopherol form or tocotrienol form, 400 international units a day. The stuff is crazy cheap. Even the deluxe form, the tocotrienols, are relatively cheap. And again, you're not going to find this stuff in food. If you want to get your vitamin E from food, and you're not going to get big doses, but the best sources are going to be seeds and seed oils, especially wheat germ oil and sunflower seed oil are two most important vitamin E food sources of vitamin E. But personally, I'm supplementing with this stuff, been supplementing with vitamin E for a long time. If you have to heal from something, especially skin healing, you might want to take 800 international units a day. The stuff's non-toxic, except for maybe a little loose stools or diarrhea if you take too much of it. But certainly 800 international units a day isn't too much. You could take 800 international units, 400 international units. I think the RDA is really teeny tiny amount. The RDA is probably around 20 or so international units a day. You're not going to get much vitamin E in a multivitamin or in food. So you got to get yourself on a vitamin E supplement, especially for your heart, by the way. Very, very important for heart health, brain health, skin health, healing. Super important vitamin. Okay. Our number is 855-660-4261, 855-660-4261. We do have a couple lines open for you. Love to hear from you on the bright side. Let's go to Virginia and welcome Rose. What's going on, Rose?
Hi, Ben. Thank you again for your kindness. I love for you and a prayer support.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose. I appreciate that.
I was going to ask you, I know you mentioned, I'm not sure if it was like 3 weeks ago that you're planning to go to Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah. See if you think about, if you could meet some place with a few of us in the East Coast,
I'm going to be you're in Virginia. You're in Virginia, right, Rose?
Yes, sir.
They're actually doing some kind of ceremony to honor Dr. Wallach in Washington, D.C. I just found out about it yesterday.
Praise God.
In September, yes, praise God. He's going to be honored for his decades of wonderful work, and I'm going to be going to that, and that's sometime in September. I'll be announcing it on the air. Maybe some folks from Virginia, maybe I can even do a talk out there in the Washington or Virginia area. You and I will have to talk about it.
Virginia is a more peaceful place than Washington, D.C.
Is it? How far?
Yes.
Now, I've never been out there. What exactly is the relationship between D.C. and Virginia? D.C. is part of...
D.C., like Southern Maryland, they're considered suburbs, but we're just like two worlds. D.C. is, apart from political...
Yeah.
There's crime and issues, and I pray for the city itself because there's a lot of good people there, but there's a lot of crime situation there. It's not a safe place that I will go in the night.
Where in Virginia are you, Rose?
I live in Northern Virginia in the Fairfax County.
Okay. All right.
Chantilly.
Well, I got to bone up on my geography research on the East Coast.
I live close to Dulles Airport.
To Dulles Airport?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you do this, Rose? Why don't you shoot me an email with your phone number on there so you and I can stay in touch? And I think your son was going to... I think I called your son. I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, he's going to call you.
Okay, good.
Yeah. My question is this, and you know how much respect I have, for Dr. Wallach and Dr. Glidden.
Okay.
For you, for me, you're just so special. And I say this from my heart. And Dr. Parker, for me, if you ever have the opportunity, go to RBM on Sundays. He's an MD too, scientist.
Who is it? RBM?
Yeah, Republic Broadcasting Network.
Okay, all right.
Sundays, I think he starts at 11. You can look at their art. And it's Dr. Parker, Win Parker.
Win Parker, Republic Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, he's a genius, and he brings out information about water and different things that is incredible. For me, he's an inspiration too. And Dr. Rowan, but he's no longer, they don't have him in the show, which I'm fighting for that. He's an MD too and a natural doctor. My question is this. I've heard, I hate to mention names because I'm a believer. I don't want to sound like somebody telling stories.
Okay.
But I heard one of the head people in longevity mentioning about that it's okay that aluminum. He said that according to Dr. Wallach, and you can verify, that aluminum is not considered like a hard chemical, like
a toxin or something.
No, the aluminum, what you were mentioning before.
Aluminum, metal. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Aluminum has got some nutritional qualities. Is that what are you talking about? Aluminum as a toxin?
Yeah, you know that you were saying today that aluminum is a hard metal. I want to know what is the truth.
Well, here's the deal. I don't think I was talking about aluminum today, but since you brought it up,
no, you mentioned it. Aluminum?
I was talking about acetylcholine.
Doctor that mentioned it. The doctor at Joyce. He mentioned aluminum.
Okay.
And Dr. Rowan has mentioned aluminum as a hard metal.
Let's talk about aluminum. I didn't talk about it. Maybe Joyce. I didn't hear Joyce's show today.
Joyce show. I have to clarify.
Okay, no problem. I can't speak to whatever they were saying on Joyce's show because I didn't hear. But let's talk a little bit about aluminum because there's a lot of misunderstanding about aluminum. First of all,
show for Joyce today, please. It's real good.
Okay, I will. Now we got to understand here. Aluminum is not necessarily a deadly toxin the way we keep hearing about it. There's I'm going to talk about colloidal minerals here in a second, but let's just talk about aluminum. Aluminum has got some nutritional value. It's the amount of aluminum that we get that is supposedly related to toxicity. But the fact of the matter is that aluminum is not in excess. Aluminum has essential biologic functions, and we've known this for many years. The question is the amount of aluminum that we get, and also the question is the form of aluminum that we get. Whether or not aluminum has, there was a couple years ago they were talking about aluminum being related to Alzheimer's disease, aluminum being related to brain toxicity. Whether or not this is the case, I don't want to get into that because I don't know. But the fact of the matter is aluminum is a mineral that has a biological value. Now that having been said, you don't want to take too much. You don't want to have excess amounts of any kind of metals or any kinds of minerals, but we got to understand that aluminum is not purely toxic. Aluminum has essential biological value, and I'll tell you a few of the things that are important about aluminum, but I also want to get into the idea of colloidal aluminum and colloidal minerals. Plant-derived colloidal minerals have protection. They are protected. They have the fact that they're colloidal means that they're surrounded by plant materials, by proteins, and this gives them a certain non-toxicity. That's why you can do huge amounts of something like, say, colloidal iodine, but you can't even do a tiny little bit of elemental iodine. Hang tight, I'll finish this up when we come back from a break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to The Bright Side. Pharmacist Ben here. We're talking about aluminum. Is Rose still here? Do we have Rose? Rose, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let me tell you a couple things about aluminum. First of all, whether or not normal amounts of regular small amounts of aluminum, and aluminum is not really a bioavailable mineral. It's the bioavailability, the ability of the body to absorb aluminum is pretty low, and nobody really knows how much aluminum is toxic, and it's never really been proven that there's a toxicity associated with aluminum. And the fact that aluminum is the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust, which means you're going to get a lot of aluminum in anything that grows out of the earth and plants, or there's going to be a lot of aluminum anyway in those plants after oxygen and silica. Aluminum is the third most abundant element in the Earth's crust. That leads me to believe that it can't be all that toxic because there's aluminum everywhere. Not to say that you want to ingest pure aluminum, but aluminum in plants and colloidal aluminum probably is not going to be that much of a problem. The biggest problem with aluminum is aluminum in antacids and aluminum in food processing chemicals. That's where you might really get into a problem with aluminum. There's actually even some literature that talks about aluminum as as having a health value. I'm looking at a paper here that was written in the 1930s, headlined "The Promoting Effect," that is the health effect of aluminum, chromium, and the rare earths in an enzyme system, a particular enzyme system in the body. So there's some literature that suggests that aluminum is actually a beneficial nutrient. The second thing that's important about aluminum is to recognize that colloidal plant-derived minerals and colloidal plant-derived aluminum is not the same as the kind of aluminum that we get in drugs or the kind of aluminum that you get in antacids or that you get in food processing chemicals. People who eat refined foods, refined flours, they're going to have higher amounts of aluminum levels in their body, and this is a different form of aluminum than colloidal plant-derived aluminum, and that's true about all minerals. When we talk about plant-derived colloidal minerals, organic minerals, minerals that have been complexed with various proteins and chemicals in a plant, this is a completely different kind of element than just pure elemental minerals. Pure elemental minerals, the kind of minerals that you'll find in food processing chemicals and in drugs, are not the same as colloidal minerals, as plant-derived minerals. It's true about iodine. It's true about silver. It's true about any mineral you can name off the periodic table, and it's true about aluminum as well. So there's aluminum and there's aluminum. Not to mention the fact that I don't know of any real literature that suggests that aluminum is a toxin, although it appears that it appeared at one time that there may be some relationship between Alzheimer's disease and tangles that form in the brain and aluminum. So about 10 or 15 years ago, there were some folks who believed that there was a relationship between Alzheimer's disease and aluminum accumulation in the brain. Now, aluminum does have pure aluminum will probably have some cause some health problems. But if you use chelating agents, vitamin C, N-acetylcysteine, MSM, if you get intravenous chelation with something like EDTA, or even if you use oral EDTA, or any oral chelating agent, you can help clear aluminum out of your body. So if you're really concerned about aluminum, use chelating agents, use MSM, selenium, NAC, EDTA, etc. And by the way, chelation is a wonderful, wonderful thing to do for improving longevity and improving health in general, especially from improving heart health and cardiovascular health. I hope that helps. Did I confuse you at all there, Rose?
No, it helps, but when it comes to a can, if you buy something with can, and before I forget, there is a problem in the first archives. Please ask Peter to check on them, because I was trying to review it because I like his method that he puts the theme of the archives, and some of them there is a problem.
On the archive page, benfuchsarchives.com?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'll mention that to Peter next time I speak to him. Anything else, Rose?
Can aluminum? What
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. If you're worried about aluminum in cans, and that's a different form of aluminum, that's not colloidal aluminum, that's not plant aluminum. Use your chelating agents. Use all the things I just talked about, especially vitamin C. Great chelating agent. Chelation is a term that's used to describe the magnetic attraction that substances have to minerals. And chelating agents, whether you use them orally or whether you use IV chelating agents, are the best ways to clear minerals, heavy metals, and substances like aluminum out of the body. But I wouldn't worry too much about aluminum personally. There's a lot worse things that we got to concern ourselves about than aluminum. Look, you can't worry, you can't freak out about all of the crappy toxins that are in our air and in our water and in our food. It's just there. And that's the world we live in. What you want to do is you want to protect yourself from these substances by using a good nutritional supplement program, making sure you're exercising, making sure you're breathing correctly, making sure you're detoxifying by using proper exhalation techniques, making sure you're not constipated, making sure you don't have a lot of stress in your life. These are all areas where we have locus of control. Whether you're to stay away from aluminum in cans or to try to stay away from aluminum wherever it appears, that's just too difficult, aside from the fact aside from the ease of staying away from drugs. Those you can stay away from. But aluminum in cans, aluminum in the environment, it's the third most abundant element on planet Earth, folks. It's the third most abundant element on the planet, or in the Earth's crust anyway. How are you going to stay away from this stuff? If you want to keep yourself protected from aluminum, in my humble opinion, the best way is to use chelating agents. But keep in mind, as I said, there is some biological value to aluminum. And if anybody wants a copy of this paper, I'll be glad to send it to them. It's from 1938 in, let's see, this is from the University of Chicago, and it was published in 1938. The promoting effect, that is the health effects of aluminum and the rare earths. You can send me an email, ben@ksco.com. I'll send you a copy of this paper. Got to move on, Rose. Thank you so much for your call. And let's go to Japan and welcome Jack to the bright side. What's up, Jack? How you doing, buddy?
Hello, man. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry for my poor English, but she's talking about maybe the chemtrails. She's worrying about them. By the way, my question is, you gave us information about NAC 3 years ago because we are suffering from a lot of radiation exposure.
Yes.
So my question today was gamma tocotrienols, which is a good vitamin E, is also good for radiation exposure?
Yes, absolutely. For a couple things. First of all, And one of the problems associated with chemtrails is aluminum, and that is one of the places where we get exposure. So your point is well taken there. And then the second thing you mentioned was NAC for radiation poisoning. Yes, NAC is an unbelievably important supplement. It's not an essential nutrient in the sense that you can get cysteine. Let me think. Cysteine, I don't think cysteine is an essential amino acid. I'm pretty sure it's not. So you can get it from foods. So NAC is not necessarily an essential nutrient, but man, is it helpful for detoxification. It's helpful for the skin. It's helpful for psoriasis. It's helpful for the liver. In fact, it's emergency room medicine. It's just a ridiculously powerful, amazing supplement. It's inexpensive. And for you guys in Japan, I would personally be taking 600 to 1,000 milligrams of NAC every day. Now, as far as vitamin E goes, there are 8 different forms of vitamin E. There's 4 different forms of the tocopherol vitamin E, and there's 4 different forms of the tocotrienol vitamin E. They call them alpha, beta, delta, and gamma. I believe there are the 4 forms. And you're mentioning gamma tocopherol, and yes, gamma tocopherol is a wonderful form of vitamin E, but you don't want to just take the gamma tocopherol. You want to take the vitamin E in the full spectrum of all the different forms. That is the alpha, the beta, the delta, and the gamma. And that you'll get all those in what are called mixed tocopherols, or also mixed tocotrienols. The term mixed means that all the forms are available. And personally, that's how I would be getting my vitamin E, by using mixed tocopherols and mixed tocotrienols. That is, you'll get the alpha form, the beta form, the delta form, and the gamma form of the tocopherols, and the same thing with the tocotrienols. So yes, the gamma form is great, but so all of the forms are great, and especially in the tocotrienol category. Those are the more powerful antioxidant and protective forms of vitamin E, especially for radiation. So that's what I would be doing, Jack. Does that help you?
Yeah, very helpful, because the vitamin E is very, very common, available here, but NAC is not available here.
You can't get NAC in Japan?
No. We have
Interesting.
to import from the U.S. We import it, but ordinary people cannot get NAC in
Interesting.
Japan.
Can you get supplements? Jack, let me ask you something, Jack. Is it easy to get supplements in general in Japan? Can you go to the health food store and get anything you need? Or
Not mega dosage. Only little dosage, because it's regulated.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's regulated. That's very interesting. Well, we're about to have regulation here of nutritional supplements. And I know in Germany and in Canada and a few other countries, regulation of vitamins is starting to occur. Thanks so much for your call, Jack. Appreciate it. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. Thanks for listening, folks. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about lipofuscin and acetylcholine and brain health. We'll talk about cigarette smoke and how cigarette smoke can affect the relationship between cigarette smoke and acetylcholine. It's very interesting. We'll talk about that tomorrow on The Bright Side. If you're interested in checking out my website, it's brightsideben.com. I'd love to have you on the Brightside Ben team. Give the Brightside Ben phone team a call at 866-735-2470, or click on the Join the Team link on the upper left-hand corner of the page at brightsideben.com. Thanks for listening, folks. I'm Pharmacist Ben. We'll talk to you all later. Have a wonderful, beautiful day. Bye for now.